Did you get ill in Latin America and the thought of going to the doctor and explaining everything in Spanish makes you even more sick? Learn all the Spanish you need to communicate with doctors and get healthy soon. I'm Spring Spanish teacher Maura, and let's start with calling for an appointment. Número 1. The phone call.
Hola, buenas tardes. Necesito hacer una cita para revisión.
Buenas tardes. Dígame su nombre, por favor.
Claudia Torani. Soy turista y no hablo español fluidamente. Agradecería si pudiese hablarme despacio.
Seguro. Dígame el motivo de su llamada.
Me he estado sintiendo mal del estómago por varios días.
Entendido. Le haré una cita con la doctora Gutiérrez. ¿Tiene seguro médico?
Sí.
Genial. La cita más cercana que tenemos es para mañana a las 2 de la tarde.
Perfecto. Muchas gracias.
Número 2. Symptoms. One of the most common variations of that phone call would be your symptoms. So, let's go over a few other typical health issues. For things that hurt, use me duele. After that, you can add any body part that hurts. Maria Fernanda made a great video about body parts that can help you out with that. You can watch it here. Other typical ailments could be tengo tos, tengo flema, me arde la garganta, me arde el pecho, me arde el estómago. O me pica la espalda, me pica la cabeza, me pica todo el cuerpo. Remember, you can add any body part after the chunk. You could also need to say there are abnormal things you can't do. For that, use no puedo. Then add the verb. For example, no puedo tragar, no puedo respirar, no puedo mover la pierna, no puedo mover el brazo, no puedo mover el cuello. Another thing that could happen that I want to go through with you is if your answer to ¿tienes seguro médico? Is a no. In this case, you should ask ¿cuánto cuesta la consulta? And ¿cómo puedo pagar? To which they could answer an amount of money, so check your numbers. Things like $50 o 400 pesos, or con efectivo o tarjeta. Lastly, make sure to confirm details at the end by saying something like, le repito la información para que me confirme. Doctor Gutiérrez, mañana a las 2 de la tarde. Also, watch until the end if you want to make sure you won't mistake instructions given by your doctor and end up undressing yourself when you don't have to. Número 3. At the reception. As soon as you walk through the door and find the receptionist, this is what could happen.
Hola, tengo cita con la doctora Gutiérrez a las 2.
Muy bien. Su nombre, identificación y la documentación del seguro, por favor.
Claudia Torani, aquí tiene.
Tome asiento, por favor. La llamarán para ser atendida. Maybe this is a bigger place and they tell you to go somewhere else. In this case, you could hear things like primera planta, or any number floor for that matter. A la izquierda o a la derecha. Al final del pasillo, subiendo o bajando las escaleras. Once you're done with the doctor, which we'll go over in a second, you may have to talk to the receptionist again, probably to pay in case you don't have insurance and the like. ¿Todo listo?
Sí, gracias. Quería pagar, por favor.
Por supuesto, ¿efectivo o tarjeta?
Tarjeta. También la doctora me dijo que hiciera una cita para un examen de sangre.
Muy bien. Tiene que estar en ayunas, así que sería para mañana. ¿A las 7 de la mañana le viene bien?
Sí, se hace aquí mismo.
Sí, en la planta de abajo. Aquí tiene la orden que deberá presentar. These doctors' procedures are generally standardized in Latin America, sobre todo si vas a un centro privado, que es lo más habitual para nosotros. So just make sure to say all the typical things you guess they need to know. That way, you'll be able to avoid part of the questioning, which is always a good idea if you don't feel super comfortable with the language. Oh, chunk alert! Estar en ayunas is definitely the type of chung you will hardly hear outside a medical context, but that is so common within it. If there are other ways to refer to this, they are certainly not usual. And estar en ayunas is definitely the quintessential way to talk about this in Spanish. Down below, you can find the link to our free Essential Spanish Chunking Kit, with chunks far more common but just as important as this one. Número 4. With the doctor. Now, during your visit with the doctor, you'll have to repeat the symptoms you talked about during your phone call, adding as much detail as you can. Además, el médico te hará preguntas específicas sobre el contexto de tus síntomas. Let's use a COVID scenario as an example and go through a typical conversation.
Buenos días. Por favor, tome asiento. Dígame, ¿qué le sucede? Buenos días, doctora. Llevo una semana de vacaciones aquí y hace 2 días empecé a sentir malestar general y tengo un poco de fiebre. Entiendo. ¿Ha estado en contacto con algún caso positivo de COVID? No que yo sepa. ¿Sufre de alguna condición especial o toma algún medicamento? No. Dígame, ¿qué más siente? Presión en el pecho y mucha molestia en la garganta. Bien, le dejo una orden para que pida cita en recepción para hacerse el test de antígenos. Mientras esperamos resultados, le daré un récipe para que compre acetaminofén en la farmacia. ¿Cómo debo tomarlo? Cada 8 horas, preferiblemente con el estómago lleno.
Again, there are many more symptoms and instructions that can be involved in this. First, let's add a couple of particular situations you should definitely warn your doctor about if they apply to you. Things like, estoy embarazada, soy diabética, soy alérgica a la penicilina, soy alérgica a las nueces, soy alérgica a los mariscos. Also, your doctor could give you certain instructions to check you up. Among them could be, túmbese boca arriba o boca abajo. Respire profundo. Desvístase y póngase la bata. Tosa. Siga mi dedo. Abra la boca. Now, I'll leave a few questions for you to test what you learned today. Also, leave an enunciating emoji in the comments if you've ever been sick in a foreign country. This way, I'll also know you stuck with me to the end. Before I test you on this topic though, I really hope this was useful. And I really hope you don't need it, but I'm really glad we did this in case you ever do. If you're already feeling sick in a foreign country and that's why you're here, my heart goes out to you. Stay strong and positive and all will be over soon. Time for that quiz. What phrase would you use to say something hurts in Spanish? A. Me arde. B. Me duele. What's the expression for fasting they'll use to instruct you? A. No puede comer. B. Tiene que estar en ayunas. How do you say you've been feeling general discomfort in Spanish? A. Me siento mal. B. Tengo malestar general. And now, on to the body parts in Spanish. Here is Maria Fernanda taking over this lesson. Click the image on the screen to continue.